Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kuru Me Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada Om Shri Mahaganapataye Namaha Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Asmat Gurubhyo Namaha Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpadam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Guru Atmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavat Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Sri Medha Dakshinamurti Swamine Namaha Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. Namaste once again to all of you. So we are seeing the topic of Vyashti Vichara, the analysis of the microcosm, the individual, Jiva, as we call it. And in that we have already seen the Stula Sharira analysis, the gross body. And we are now in the Sukshma Sharira, which is the subtle body analysis, of which the author talked about 17 components. The 5 Jnanendriyas, 5 Karmendriyas, and 5 Pranas. This we have seen. Now there are 2 more components which are left, which is Manaha and Buddhi. That is where we stopped in the last class. Okay. So as I was telling you, this Mana, Buddhi are actually in the Shastra treated as instruments, internal instruments. Because most of our actions which are done by others, I mean including the Jnanendriyas, Karmendriyas, require this Mana and Buddhi to support them to do their actions. Without this Mana, especially Manaha, none of these things will work. So mind has to be behind everything. So it's a very important faculty which we need to understand. So while the mind is quite powerful, as they say, there is a problem with the mind. The mind does not have the capacity to take the decisions. And decisions are very important for our life. At every point in our life, we are presented with choices. Sorry?
Excuse me, Raghuji, you're breaking up. You're kind of breaking up. Yes, little bit. Yes, yes. And then it comes back. Just want to let you know. That's all. Okay,
yeah, that's fine. I think maybe it's more to do with the, the internet connection, which could be a little bit unstable. Yeah, let us see whether it becomes all right.
Okay, that's
yeah. Others can hear me. All of you can hear me properly. Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
So good.
Yes.
So as I was telling you that this mind, the weakness of the mind is that it cannot take any decision. It gets all inputs, but it cannot decide. So what happens is the mind, it is always in a sort of, as I told you in the last class, doubting whether I should do this or whether I should do that. Oscillation is there. It's like a pendulum. In Shastra, it is called Sankalpa Vikalpatmakam. So when the pendulum moves to one side, it is Sankalpa. Then this side, Vikalpa. So between Sankalpa and Vikalpa, should I do it? Should I not do it? I think Hamlet, isn't it? The soliloquy, the famous lines, to be or not to be, Shakespearean. So you just recall that in your mind. You can understand what is the mind's purpose what does the mind do? But it is required because it has to get all the inputs from the external world, and that inputs the mind passes on to the buddhi. And buddhi is the faculty which actually takes all the decisions, makes all the choices. So mind is required. It's like a sort of a post office, it will collect everything and pass it on to the buddhi for it to take the decision. So this is the mind, composition of the mind. And as I told you, buddhi is the intellectual faculty, or what we can call the reasoning faculty. It is expressed in Sanskrit as nishchayatmakam, the one which is decisive, which takes the decision. Whether the decision is right or wrong, we cannot pass any value judgment. But taking into account all the inputs which the mind gives, and also drawing from previous experiences, the buddhi takes a decision. At that moment, when the intellect takes that decision, that is a right decision so far as the intellect is concerned. Because whatever was available inputs, it has considered all those. Later on hindsight, one may say, oh, you should have considered this also, that also, and all that. But that's only on hindsight you can say that. Anybody taking any decision in life, at that point in time, they always, to the best of their ability, they think they take the right decision. So we should be very careful in criticizing anybody's decision, because everybody takes the decision. Even when we take a decision, we may also go wrong after some time. We may find that it was not a right decision. So these are the two faculties, manaha and buddhi, the doubting faculty, or the faculty, we can put it, which takes in all inputs. There is one more aspect to manaha, which is it is also the emotional faculty. And because of that emotional faculty only, the nature being emotional, the mind is unable to decide. A very classic example is, of course, I don't want to sound critical, but we have experienced, everybody will accept it, when a lady goes to a saree shop. And these saree sellers know this. So what they will do, they will display so many different types of sarees. Then the emotional faculty comes into the picture. Show me this, show me that. And before even, selecting, they would have seen some hundreds of sarees, but still no selection. Finally, the husband will be sitting there in one corner doing something with his mobile. She will call him. Say, what do you think which is a good color? In a split second, he will say, take this. This looks very good. This will look very good on you. Buy this. So that is the difference between, I'm just giving an example. I'm not saying that all men are like this and all women are like this. That is not my intention. But just to make it light and this example, but then we can see it practically in operation, especially when you go to all this Nalli silks and then PSR silks and whatever it is, are so many silk shops. This is what happens rather. So this is the difference. Whereas, men's wear, they don't display like that, because men are so like a horse. They exactly know this one only, this color, this size, this is what I want. They will straight away go ask the shopkeeper, do you have this? If they say no, they will walk out of the shop. They will not tell him, show me other things which you have got. Most of them, not. So this is there, but this is just for an example of manas and buddhi I'm giving. It is not that all men are like this or all women are like this. So don't take it in any other way, please. So these are the 17 components that we have seen. Pancha prana, that is Pancha Jnanendriya, Pancha Karmendriya, Pancha prana, Manaha, Buddhi. Now, as I told you, in some texts, and even in this text later on, 2 more faculties are added. So make it total 19. And those are Chittam and Ahankara. I'll just briefly tell you what is Chittam. Chittam is the faculty of memory. Because all these decisions which the mind takes, the experiences which comes back because of the decisions through the mind, all the decisions which the intellect takes, and the experiences which are gained because of those decisions which get fed back into the system through the mind, these have to be stored somewhere. And that faculty which stores all these memories is called Chittam. Now, this is not that something separate instruments are there, right? There is only one component which has got these four aspects. It all happens in the one, which is called, that's why it's called Antakarana. So it is the inner instrument which has got four components, which is Manas, Buddhi, Chitta, and Ahankara. And the fourth one is Ahankara. Ahankara is the I sense we have, the ego, what we call. And that ego, because of that ego only, we identify ourselves with this gross body and the subtle body. This ego is the biggest obstacle for us to gain knowledge of the self. It obstructs our vision. And that is why in the spiritual path, one of the most important sadhanas we have to do is try to neutralize our ego little by little, little by little, little by little. Ego is so strong. It has been with us for birth after birth. It is not very easy to, satisfy the ego. It will play its role. And that is why, when we go to the temple doing namaskara, because the ego can be neutralized or diluted when we are in the presence of somebody higher than us. We can see, we have seen this example, how we treat our subordinates in the office and how we treat our bosses in the office. You can clearly see how the ego adjusts itself to the circumstances. This ego will be overwhelming on the subordinates. We will fire them. We will, threaten them and all that if they don't do their job. As even when we are doing, if our boss comes to the room, immediately our ego will become like a pussycat. Yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir. So the thing is, before a higher authority, the ego gets neutralized. And that is why going to Ishvara or going to a temple or going to a place for worship where we visualize the presence of somebody higher than us, somebody more powerful than us, somebody more knowledgeable than us, when we visualize that presence, then our ego will be, neutralized. And as we continuously do this, that's why going to the temple is very, very important, or going to these meeting elders, meeting sadhus, meeting, having satsanga with, noble people, Mahatmas, all are meant for our own sadhana of trying to dilute this ego. So they all in the spiritual path, they become very important. And in fact, if you get a chance to go and spend some time in a Gurukulam or an ashram like I did, there they actually add some more. In fact, a lot of activities that you are supposed to do there in the ashram. Cleaning the dining area, doing seva to all the teachers and things like that and all, washing their clothes, cleaning the open areas and all that, taking care of the cows. All these the students have to do. Why? Because you must get rid of this, that, oh, I am so and so and so. I have been the CEO of so and so institution. How can I do all these things? If you have that kind of an attitude, Don't come to Vedanta and waste your time and also waste the Guru's time. Simple. Nobody is forcing or dragging you into Vedanta. But when you come to Vedanta, this is all necessary. Ego dilution is a starting point. If you have that ego shield before you, nothing which any guru tells will go into your mind. Who is he to tell and who am I to serve? This is the question. In fact, there was one elderly gentleman in one of the satsang that I attended. And the guru was telling that Adi Shankara has said like this, Adi Shankara has said like that. And this gentleman is asking that guru, who is Adi Shankara to tell all these things? What authority he has got to tell all these things to man? Can you imagine? Why did you come to the satsang if you want to ask such questions? Isn't it? Now, so this is that ego is a very important element that we have to, and that is the fourth one, which is called ahankara, right? And the ego is what ahankara means, the feeling that I am the doer, I am the doer, I am the doer. Totally ignoring the part of all other natural forces, all other Ishvara's order, which is what supports you whenever you do and succeed in doing something that you are attempting to do. They ignore that. I am the greatest kind of a thing is the thing. That is the ego aspect of it, right? So this makes it totally 19 components. Now there is one interesting question some people ask. That you say that memory is there in the Sukshma Sharira, Chitta. And that after death of the body or leaving this body, the Sukshma Shariram goes and installs himself in a new body. Very good. All very well. But then the same memory, the same samskaras, the same vasanas are carried forward. Then in the next birth, why are we not able to recollect what has happened? Because already data is there. Why we are not able to get that data? And know that in this birth I had this experience, this birth I had this experience. So and so was my wife in the so and so birth. Unfortunate, I don't have that person as my wife in this birth. All these problems will all start coming if we remember. But now this question is answered very simply in two ways. Number one, it is not that for everybody they can't remember what is there in the past. We have discussed that child prodigy cases and all that. And that is why, many people, not many, some people, they can say, we call them genius and all that. But what is a genius? Genius is something, at a very young age, when that person has not got any opportunity to learn or train himself for a particular skill or a particular talent, that talent gets exhibited in that child. We call them genius. So how does that happen? There is no other explanation other than the fact that because of some special circumstances, we don't know what those circumstances are. That memory of the previous births, the knowledge of the previous births gets activated and automatically this child exhibits that memory. So we don't need to be very, awestruck, small child doing all that. Nothing, that small child was a big child when they learned all these things. Now it is born again as a small child, and because of some reason that particular memory faculty got triggered. But we must remember, not that everything that has happened in the past will be remembered by that child. Only certain aspects it will be remembered. And normally what has been found is, if somebody is very passionate about something, then probably those things are, get priority in kind of this recollection. But that will not happen for everybody. Another way to look at it is, sometimes it is good that it doesn't happen. We don't recall what has happened in the past births. Right? Many people have got traumatic childhood even in this birth. Just imagine if they carry on those memories throughout their life. it will just end up in a very miserable life only. One needs to put the past behind and carry forward. Live the day, not live in the past, nor live in the future also. We must live always in the present. Well, that is the most important thing. And that is the present which God has given us, the present. So let us live in the present. So it is good that many things we don't remember. And another aspect is the nature of our memory is such that what has happened a few years ago or even a few days ago, we find it difficult to remember. Isn't it? So how can we expect to remember what has happened in the previous birth and all that? So that is another aspect we can look at it, that, you know, it is not right to expect that everything that has happened in the past we should remember. That is the nature of that chitta. Some things we may remember, but sometimes, as I told you in one of the earlier classes, this dream is one of the mechanisms through which some of the past memories can replay itself in the dream. So that is one thing we can say. It's not that for everybody it doesn't happen. It happens in different ways, different manners for different people. So this is how we have to answer that question. And memory is necessary, of course. Otherwise, if we don't have any recalling ability at all, we will still be in the first page of this book, isn't it? We will not remember what we saw in the last class. Every class I will have to start the same thing. And I will also forget what I have told in the last class. Not that now I don't. But I have my notes, so at least I can refer to that. There is an external memory I have created. So that is how it goes on. So this happens. So the memory, with long passage of time and all, bound to become weak and all. Sometimes some special occasion, something we will remember. So that is also there. So that acts in a very, it's a little complicated action. But as long as we understand that there is this memory faculty where everything gets stored, the chitta, and then it gets passed on to the next birth. So this we can understand. Most importantly, all the vasanas and samskaras are stored. So that is why when different children or different people have got different tastes, different preferences, from where it all comes from the previous birth. In a family, one person may be very religious, one person may be actually 24/7, doing going behind material things. He will not even think of doing any religious activity at all. So in the same family we find different kinds of people. So what we have to understand is all these kind of preferences, habits, current samskaras are all brought forward from the previous births only. So that is how we have to understand. Okay. So that completes the Sukshma Shariram, all 17 plus the 2 bonus components, 19 components. Now we will come to the third part, Karana Shariram, of the Sharira Traya. So the student is asking, Karana Shariram Kim? What is this Karana Shariram? You have mentioned about this Karana Shariram. What is that Karana Shariram? And as usual, the Acharya is giving a long explanation, and then he will explain it or elaborate it also. Anirvacha anadhi avidya rupam sharira dvayasya karana matram satswarupam ajnanam nirvikalpaka rupam yad asti tat karana sharira. A very elaborate definition of Karana Sharira, which the author has given. So many components he is explaining what this Karana Shariram is. Okay. Karana Shariram can be literally translated as causal body. Karanam means cause. And here also, like in the earlier cases, we will study the four aspects: condition, cause, function, and also the nature of this Karana Sharira. In fact, that is what the author covers in his explanation. And for the sake of convenience, let us first take the function aspect first. Okay. To understand the function of a Karana Shariram, we need to know one very important law of creation. And it is very important from the point of view of the scriptures, and also very important from the point of view of modern science. This law of creation states that nothing is ever created. As we have seen, matter can neither be created nor destroyed. And what is matter? Matter is a form of energy. So energy can neither be created nor destroyed, is what the science says, and that's exactly what Shastra says. Nothing can be created afresh. The word creation itself, if it is understood as something being put together for the first time, is a misnomer. There is nothing called creation. But it's a convenient word, everybody uses creation. That's why we say Srishti. Srishti also means creation only rather. But actually speaking, there is nothing created. What is there, what we have today is nothing but a different form of what was there yesterday. Even though creation cannot be done, transformation can be done. One type of energy can be transformed into another type of energy, right? One material can be transformed into another type of material. That is possible. But per se creation does not happen. So in short, nothing can be created or destroyed. So this is the first thing that we must remember. So especially when we suppose we talk of a desk, really speaking, if you ask who created this desk, you will say carpenter created this desk. But what we are saying is the carpenter did not create the desk. He took a piece of wood which was already there and gave a shape to it. And that giving shape is what we call creation, right? He has not, the carpenter has not added even 1 ounce of matter to that wood. He has not contributed anything other than shaping the whole thing, right? He has just modified the wood into a desk form. So it is the transformation of matter from one form to the another. And this transformation is what, because of I don't know what reason, it has been going on. We call it creation, creation, creation. It's a misnomer actually. And so many examples. For example, a goldsmith, he creates an ornament. Does he add even 1 milligram of gold to it? He doesn't do. There is gold, he transforms it into another shape or another form as ornaments. And we call him creator of this ornament. He's only a transformator, or if that's the correct word, I don't know who is the doer of a transformation, is called transformator or what, a creator like that. Anyhow. So you can take the case of a tree. A tree, did it exist before it grew? The tree very much existed in the form of a seed. No seed, no tree. And in fact, the full tree is contained in the seed in a what we call avyakta form. It cannot undifferentiated form. We can't differentiate what is there in the seed. But what is not there in the seed, the tree will never have. So everything, a huge tree, let us say, some 60 feet height tree, from where it has come, it is the seed, small seed, which keeps growing, expanding, and becomes this tree. So can we say the tree is created? Tree existed in the form of a seed earlier. Now it exists in the form of a tree. And from the same tree, the seed will be there coming for the next, round of the birth of the tree. So what we call creation, we must understand, is nothing but what is manifest becomes unmanifest, and what is unmanifest becomes manifest. Creation is unmanifest becoming manifest, and pralayam or dissolution is manifest becoming unmanifest. That is all happens. Nothing new is created. And that is why our Shastras, we have, whenever we talk of Srishti, we talk of Srishti, Sthiti and Laya, cyclical. The entire creation for us is cyclical, and it is not linear like some of the Western, philosophers believe. You can call it linear if you take one part of the cycle, one arc of the cycle, and just study that, it will appear linear. If you fail to study the previous portion and the later portion. So it is a cyclical is the entire creation, and that is reflected in all our Shastras in the time, in terms of time calculation. Everything is cyclical. We have the 4 yugas going in cycle, then kalpas are there, then manvantaras, then so many time what's that, notions are there, time elements are there. Everything is cyclical. In fact, it starts with the Brahmaji's one day split into day and night, right? So that also, even like day and night comes and goes again and again. Brahmaji's thing also comes again. 1 year of or 1 day of Brahmaji is 1 year of ours. So I don't remember the details, but the cyclical nature is carried throughout in our scriptures. So when we talk of Karana Shariram, a cause, causal body, first we must remember that we are not here talking about cause like cause. A cause, we are talking about that another, from one form to another form transformation. That previous form is what we call a cause. So that that is the Karanam. We must remember that, right? So all our bodies, similarly, they existed in the womb of the mother in a potential form, and this body comes to manifestation from that potential form. So everything existed at all time, the whole universe, in either manifest form or unmanifest form. Even in Pralaya also, this Karana Shariram doesn't get destroyed. Sukshma Shariram gets destroyed in Pralaya. Stula Shariram gets destroyed in that same birth itself, at the end of it. This body, we have got body-mind complex. The body part of it will finish at the end of this life. Next life, I may take another body. It will not be the same one. With bald head and this specs and all, it will not be the same bodies. Some other body, it may be even a worm body. If I got enough papas in my karma account. Anyhow, what I'm saying is, this Sula Sharira goes away in the same birth. Sukshma Sharira gets transferred from one body to another body throughout the period till the Pralaya, till the end of that particular yuga. And at that time, the Sukshma Sharira also gets dissolved. But Karana Sharira, it doesn't get dissolved at all. Karana Sharira goes from one yuga to another yuga, one kalpa to another kalpa. Because if there is no Karana Sharira, if there is no seed, there cannot be another round of creation at all, or what we call creation. So for that to happen, this Karana Sharira is very, very important. And what is the total Karana Sharira of the creation? It is the aggregation of the Karana Sharira of all the Jivas, is the Karana Sharira of the creation. So the creation happens because that Karana Sharira matures, and then the creation happens, and then we will see later what do we mean by maturity of Karana Sharira. It is nothing but the maturity of the Punya Papa that we have earned from life after life after life. And all these Punya Papas are stored in the Karana Sharira. And that is how the perpetuation of the species continues, perpetuation from cycle after cycle. We are born again and again and again. So this Karana Shariram, we have to understand it very, very carefully what this Karana Shariram is. Okay. So this is another aspect we have to say. So from Vyakta Prapancha, it becomes Avyakta Prapancha. This Avyakta Prapancha, what we call the unmanifest cosmos, which happens on the dissolution, on the pralayam, is what we call the Karana Sharira of the whole creation. At individual level, each one of us is carrying our own Karana Sharira. It is so subtle that we can't see it also. Okay, like the Sukshma Sharira. So, Sukshma Sharira, if it is subtler, Karana Shariram is subtlest, you can call it, right? So, from manifest to unmanifest, unmanifest to manifest is what we say creation. Like a tree becoming a seed, seed becoming a tree, right? So, in Pralaya also we can say that there is no destruction of the world. There is only the world becoming unmanifest. That is what is again. Again, it will become manifest. And this applies, this law applies to everything that is there in the universe. Okay. When we suppose we destroy a desk, it will become a piece of wood. If we burn the wood, it will become ash. If they mix the ashes with the earth, right, it will become mud form, from which again wood will grow. So the cycle keeps on going, you know. I mean, we have seen in biology and all that, nature cycle and all. So it's all cyclical, right? We can change the form, but we cannot destroy anything in this entire universe. And in fact, you know, this atom bomb theory was based upon this atom bomb was explosion was based upon this theory only. When matter is converted into energy, it becomes an atomic explosion. Even E is equal to mc square, the Einsteinian theory of relativity is based upon this only. The assumption that nothing is created, nothing is destroyed. Only conversion takes place. That is, from one form to another form, conversion takes place, right? So that is what it is. Including our body, everything is only from one form to another form, it changes. So this present Stula Shariram and Sukshma Shariram must have existed before the Pralayam, even before the current round of creation. Why I say Stula Shariram? Because the form of Stula Shariram, as we have seen, is also Satkarma Janyam. And also the general cause of the Stula Shariram we saw is Panchabhutas. The Panchabhutas always existed, and our Punya Papas always existed as a causal. So the potential for the next Stula Shariram exists in the form of this Punya Papa, which is a part of the Karana Shariram. Okay. But they would have existed in a seed form, as a causal form. So the causal form of the Stula and Sukshma Sharira is what is called Karana Shariram, and that is what here the author is saying, right? So every manifest form contains the seed for its unmanifest form. And every seed in unmanifest form contains the potential for the manifest form for it to become a object or a tree or whatever it is, a body. The question now is, as I said, at the end of the creation, the Stula Shariram, at this round of creation, one cycle, Stula Shariram and Sukshma Shariram get destroyed, but they exist in potential form in the Karana Shariram. And that is why in the next round we are able to get another Stula Shariram and another Sukshma Shariram. It's like water becoming a vapor and then again converting into water. That is what Bhagavan says in Bhagavad Gita, in second chapter. Avyaktadini bhutani vyaktamadhyani bharata avyakta nidhananyeva tatra ka paridevana. He says everything, Arjuna, was unmanifest. Then it becomes manifest. And it will all again go back to unmanifest. This expansion and contraction process will eternally continue. And this expansion is what we falsely call creation. And contraction is falsely called destruction. Therefore, he says, when Arjuna is reluctant to kill Bhishmacharya, Drona, and all that, he says, why are you being reluctant? You understand, you are not killing anybody. They are there now in manifest form. After this war, they will go back to unmanifest form. So there is no killing, there is no actual death which is happening. He is trying to teach Arjuna that he should not be reluctant. He should understand that he is not destroying something. Arjuna is not destroying something, right? So this birth, death and all, he says, Arjuna, it's only from your individual perspective. From a creation perspective, there is no birth, there is no death. It is only manifestation and unmanifestation. And this is what exactly the author is explaining here. So let us see the word meanings. Sharira dvayasya karana matram. The karanam sharira, karana shariram is merely the seed. It does not have any other function. Matram means only. Okay. Sharira dvaya means stula sharira and sukshma sharira. Sharira dvayasya, of the stula and sukshma sharira, karana matram, the cause alone is this karana sharira. So this is the function of the karana sharira. Now what is the condition of this karana shariram or this causal body? He says nirvikalpaka rupam. Nirvikalpaka means undifferentiated form. Anything which is in the seed form will always exist in an undifferentiated manner. Okay. The various parts will not be clearly visible. They are all there. Within the seed, all the parts are there. If it is a mango tree, the mango, the type of mango, what it will be, what will be the taste of that mango, all will be there in the seed. But it will be undifferentiated. We can't just study the seed and find out what this mango type is and all that. Undifferentiated form. That is what nirvikalpaka rupam, he says, right? When it manifests, we can see everything clearly, but when it is unmanifest, we can't see anything. We can't differentiate. I mean, even in the case of a baby, when just after consumption it starts growing, after some time only we can start differentiating. This is the leg, this is the hand, this is the lump. Initially, it is just a lump of flesh, undifferentiated. So even that in undifferentiated form continues for some time. Okay. Now, all the organs of the baby are already contained in the DNA. Suppose we have to use the language of genetics, right? The DNA. If we do a DNA mapping, we can get all the information, which is all coded, in a genetic language. We can get what type of baby it will be after 15 years and all. But after so much, they will be able to, decipher only a little bit of this entire thing. That they are working on it. Scientists are working on it, right? So that's why, the parents are very anxious when the child is born, what kind of a child it will be, how it will grow up and all that. They can't do anything about it. It will grow up according to what its own past is. Something they can add in terms of giving it a proper upbringing and things like that. Okay. So that is the Karana Shariram, the condition of the Karana Shariram, undifferentiated form. Nirvikalpaka Rupam. Vikalpa means basically differences, right? Nirvikalpa means without difference, undifferentiated. In the Stula Shariram, the differences are very clear. We can say this is eye, this is nose, and all that. They are very, very clear. Even in the Sukshma Shariram, the Vikalpas are not that clear, but still we can know that this is the faculty of sight. I don't have the faculty of sight. The existence or non-existence, we can easily know. My mind is disturbed. We know mind is a part of Sukshma Shariram, but then we know, we can experience. So it is not that totally Nirvikalpa, whereas Karana Shariram is totally Nirvikalpa. We cannot know what is all stored in our Karana Shariram. And that is going to be carried forward from one birth to another one. Now let us see the nature of this Karana Shariram. The author says, Swarupa Ajnanam is the nature of this Karana Shariram. Now we need to understand this word Ajnanam very, very clearly. We have seen that with respect to the universe, the Karana Shariram obtains before the creation or after the dissolution. Right? In between one dissolution and another creation, existence of Karana Shariram is there in the unmanifest form of this entire universe. And as per the definition, the differences are not recognizable. There's in the unmanifest form. That means what? The subject-object duality does not, it exists, but it is not recognizable in the Karana Shariram. In our present manifest form, we are able to clearly differentiate that I am the subject, and then subject who is knower of all these things, everything that is around me, everything that I have experienced, I know. And all those things which I have experienced are the objects of my experience. So this differentiation as I as the subject and all other things as the object is very clear in the manifest form. Okay. The knower-known division is very manifest in the manifest form, whereas in unmanifest form, even though that is there potentially, the difference of knower and known, it is not manifested, it is not recognizable. So when the knower-known division is not recognizable, that means what? There is no knowledge there in Karana Shariram. No manifest knowledge in the Karana Shariram. So we cannot talk of knowledge in Karana Avastha. Karana Avastha means the state of Karana Shariram, right? We can't talk of any form of knowledge in that state. We can talk of knowledge only when there are three conditions there. There is a knower, there is something to be known, and the process of knowledge happens. Only when these conditions are satisfied, we can talk of knowledge. When these three are not distinguishable, we cannot talk of any knowledge. Okay. Like now, when I am teaching and you are listening and learning, we can talk of knowledge. So many things are required for gaining of that knowledge. But when there is no division of subject, object, mind, sense organs, intellect, etc., we cannot talk of knowledge at all. And therefore, the nature of the state of this Karana Shariram is Ajnanam. Ajnanam means no knowledge, ignorance. Total ignorance, because the infrastructure for the knowledge is absent in Karana Shariram. Absent means is not manifest, undifferentiated form. So, author is saying that Karana Shariram is that which consists of ignorance of Sat Swarupa, the real nature of everything, the existence of everything. That knowledge is not there in the Karana Shariram. It is of the nature of total blanket ignorance. And that is what the cosmologists also, through their research, are trying to find out. The condition before this Big Bang. They all know Big Bang happened at T time, let's say. T1, Big Bang happened. But they don't know what was the condition. And Big Bang was, they say, the creation. The world, the universe, after Big Bang, it was created. Time T1. T0, what was the condition? They are not able to find out. Why? There is no knowledge. All that after, the Einsteinian physics has come, they were able to find out that before the Big Bang, the condition of this universe is what they call singularity. But they can't describe that singularity. Why? For us, the singularity is nothing but the entire universe in an unmanifest, undifferentiated form. We also say we can't know what was there in that. But what scientists interestingly say is that we call that singularity as a state of no information. And that is exactly what the author is saying here. Our scriptures say that this unmanifest form is ajnana matram, it is total ajnanam, ignorance, no information is there about that. But everything is there in potential form. That is the slight difference we say. We say that everything is there, but we have no information about it, we have no knowledge about it. We can't differentiate and find out this is how the world will be. So that is the state of no information which science talks about, and what ajnanam we are talking about is one and the same thing, right? And it is felt that despite all the research, the scientists may never be able to know what was that, because they are applying the instruments to scientific research, and then their observation is all through the 5 sense organs. These 5 sense organs are no good for understanding what is unmanifest. So the only pramana for all these things is our Shastram only, our scriptures only. Our Upanishads and our Bhagavad Gita, they are the only pramana. So that is how we have to understand. Okay. Now let us see the cause of this Karana Sharira. To say Karana Sharira, cause of the cause is itself is absurd statement, right? Because by definition, Karana Shariram is the root cause of everything else. And it can never be an effect or a product. So that's a root cause rather. Everything is born out of Karana Shariram. But Karana Shariram itself is not born out of anything else. And that is why the author calls it Anadi. Anadi means that which has no beginning, beginningless. Nobody knows, even Shastras do not know when this whole creation thing started. That's why they say Anadi. And they also say we do not know when it will end. So they say Ananta. So Anadi, Ananta is the nature of this entire universe. And it is the nature of you and me also. We never can find out when was our first birth, what we were in the first birth. We will never know what will be our last birth, because there is nothing called first birth, nothing called last birth. The only thing we can do by gaining self-knowledge, we can put a stop to this rebirth business. That is what is the guidance of the Shastra. If you don't want to get into this loka again and do the samsara struggles, you have to destroy the Karana Sharira. Isn't it? When you destroy the seed, then it cannot manifest again. And Karana Shariram is the seed. You have to destroy. It will never get destroyed on its own. You have to destroy, and that is exactly where Vedanta comes into the picture. Advaita Vedanta comes into the picture. Upanishad says that the moment you understand and abide in your real nature, which is Satchidananda, which will come to next, we will talk about Atma. You understand what your real nature is. You actually, negate all your misconceptions that you have about yourself. Once you understand that, this Karana Shariram also is destroyed. And once the Karana Shariram is destroyed, then there is no rebirth for you. For one Jiva, it will become one with the totality. You will become part of all the powers which are there. Your individual powers which are there will all go back to the totality, and they will never, assemble again, because the very reason for assemblage, the Karana Shariram, is finished, is not there. So that is why Vedanta becomes a very important pursuit for us. If we want to escape from this world, not be born again, like in any form, rather, only solution is self-knowledge, Tattva Bodha. That is the only solution. So that's the only way we can, and that is what Krishna also is saying in Bhagavad Gita. Upanishad after Upanishad is giving the same message. So, and there is no evidence whether that is true or not. But then, for each faculty of knowledge, each jnanendriya, our eyes are seeing something. Is there an evidence whether what eyes are seeing are true or not? We believe our eyes are seeing the real thing. But there is no evidence. We have to just trust the eyes, that's all, that it is seeing the real thing. When somebody is telling us something, we have to trust the ears that it is hearing the right thing. Because these are the only means of knowledge. Your ears cannot perform what your eyes can do. Your eyes cannot perform what your nose can do. So these 5 senses, sense organs that we have got, are a pramana, a source of knowledge in themselves, in which we have total faith. In fact, 2 people will argue. He will say, one person will say, I saw that car which was red in color. That is what he believes. He saw a red color car. Another fellow will say, no, that was not red in color. It was a black car. Both will argue. In fact, in some of the management courses and all, they will do this. They will show some small clip, 2-3 minutes clip, and ask all the people there, the participants, to write down what all they saw. And you will be surprised that different people will come up with different things that they saw. Because they all believe that's what they saw. Similarly, Shastra says these Vedas, our scriptures, are pramanam for all these things. That Punya Papa exists. If you believe, from how do you believe? Can you see Punya Papa? You cannot. Vedas are the only praman. They are the only source of knowledge. So if you take that Punya Papa exists by relying on the Vedic scriptures, Karana Shariram destruction, also what the Vedas talk about, we have to accept it and say that that must be the true thing. So that is how we have to understand this Karana Shariram. We'll see a little more about Karana Shariram and then go to the definition of Atma in the next class. Okay, I'll stop here. Any questions are there, we can take. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Thank you all once again.
Thank you.
So, Raghuji, this is Padma here.
Yeah.
So, Karna Shariram can be defined, it's in a technical term,
Your voice,
right?
sorry, Karna Shariram can
Now
be
can-
defined as what?
That is the Mula Avidya.
Mula Vidya. Yeah, I'll come to that. I'll cover that in the next class. Mula Vidya basically.
Okay. I just want to know, since you.
Sorry? Your voice is
No,
very.
nothing. You talk. That's all. I didn't say anything. Okay.
Yeah, Mula Vidya, yes. It is
Now can
called
you hear
Mula
me?
Vidya. He talks about it. We'll talk about it in the next class.
Okay.
Mula Vidya.
All right.
Basically, you see, there are two types of avidyas. One is ignorance of a particular object. One is ignorance per se. Ignorance.
That's what.
That is Mula Vidya.
Okay. Ignorance per se. Okay.
That is what scientists call, state of no information or agyanam, Mula Vidya. All these words we can understand as Karna Shariram.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes, Sitaram.
You say Karana Shariram is one that goes on from birth after birth.
No, but not only birth after birth.
You got.
Goes on after creation after creation.
Yeah, it goes on till such time as you achieve that one, it becomes one with totality. That means the Sukshma Shariram is coterminous with the Sthula Shariram. Is that right?
No. Sthula Shariram, this particular body will go away at the end of this birth.
Yes.
But you will get another body. May not be the same human body. It could be a lion body, cat body, male body, female body. Another body you will get.
So the Karana Shariram and Sukshma Shariram are almost identical.
No. Karna Shariram, you must understand. See, when a person dies, what happens is, three things go out of this person's body, physical body. One is the Jivatma. Another is the components of Sukshma Shariram. And another is Karana Shariram. All these go out. But when they go out, they cannot survive without a body. Immediately, they take another body, which we can't see. And that is what we call normally Pretatma in this thing, right? So, that body travels to another loka. It has to travel to another loka. And it has to wait there, like we wait in the airport lounge, for our flight to be announced so that we can take the flight. All these bodies with the kind of body which is suitable for post death of this physical body, in that body they all go to that world, a particular world which is called Pitruloka. There they will wait. So what will wait? This basically Sukshma Shariram and Karana Shariram will wait, right? And also the reflected Atma, that is the Jiva Atma, will be there. When the next body happens, all these will enter that body. It will take a new body. Okay. And that body will have the Sukshma Sharira, Karana Sharira, all this will continue in that body. And if it is a human body, there will be accumulation of Punya Papa during that birth. That will be added to the Karana Shariram balances. Right? There will be more Vasanas will be collected, more experiences, more memories will be generated, which will all get recorded in the Chittam. And at the end of that next body, then this one will again, this process will keep repeating. Okay, now till what period this will repeat? This Stula Shariram, gross body, this particular form, the gross body that we have now, it will finish at the end, at the time of death of this particular birth, correct? But it does not mean the Stula Shariram per se finishes. It will have another Stula Shariram in the next birth. What happens to Sukshma Shariram? It goes on getting transferred from one type of gross body to another type of gross body till the end of the cycle of creation, this cycle of creation. At the end of this cycle of creation, that Sukshma Shariram gets destroyed. What happens to the Karana Shariram? That is also following the same thing. But at the end of creation, the Karana Shariram doesn't get destroyed because it is unmanifest form. It will manifest again as the next, in the next body with a fresh set of Sukshma Shariram. So all three, are not exactly the same, but they all have a certain journey. To some extent, they go to do the journey together. Then the Stula Shariram falls at the end of this life. Then Karana Shariram takes another Stula Shariram, the Sukshma and Karana Shariram, they take another Stula Shariram. That will go, one more life. Then that Stula Shariram will fall. But this Sukshma Shariram, Karana Shariram will keep on going, taking, new Stula Shariram. End of the cycle of creation, which we call Pralayam, the Sukshma Shariram also will disappear. Karana Shariram will survive. Endlessly it will survive. Because this Punya Papa which we earn in one life, it has to be experienced. That is the law of karma. Whatever we do, we have to, the seed that we sow, we have to reap. Whether it's a good seed or a bad seed, that nature will not leave us otherwise. So that is why Karana Shariram continues. And the only way to destroy Karana Shariram is Atma Jnana. When you know the real nature of yourself, not only get the real nature, you must abide in that nature. And abidance means you're getting the Sarvatma Bhava. So many aspects are there, what we call by abidance. Once you reach that stage of a Mahatma, a Jnani, the Karana Shariram, Shankaracharya, Adi Shankara says in one place, the Karana Shariram gets roasted. In fact, in Bhagavad Gita also it says Aavignidhi. Bhagavan Krishna uses this word Aavignidhi, means in the fire of knowledge, all this Karana Shariram, these Punya Papas get roasted. A roasted seed will not sprout again, right? If you roast a seed, it won't sprout. It will lose its potential to sprout.
Potential.
So that is how the whole process we have to understand. And that is why Vedanta becomes very important if you want that. If you don't want that, you say, I'm very happy to be born again and again and then undergo all these happiness and sufferings, Mishra life. No problem. That also is fine. But the only problem is we don't know. Good, we don't remember what we are in the past life. Isn't it? So that is one more advantage why we should not remember the past life. So that at least this
Does
life,
it mean many people who have existed in the previous yugas also?
many people would have
Existed in the previous yugas also.
Yeah.
What?
See, nothing is, we have Ramayana, which was where in Treta Yuga, right? Krishna in Dvapara Yuga. Every 4 yugas, this Ramayana and Mahabharata repeats. There is not one Rama. There has been so many Ramas, so many Krishnas, but not so many. The same Krishna becoming manifest, unmanifest, manifest, unmanifest. So we can't even say so many Ramas and so many Krishnas. There's only one Rama and one Krishna become manifest, unmanifest. But all that, you have to go very deep study of the Shastras and understand and all. But if you understand the principle behind it, then logically it follows that there cannot be different Ramas in different Chatur Yugas.
Krishnas.
Isn't it? So it's very fascinating if you actually, think about it.
Good.
Can you say a tree which is there in your garden is the first time that tree is there? Or you, it may be first time, but the tree has come from a seed, which came from a previous tree, which came from a seed of the previous tree, then which came from a previous tree.
That's correct.
When did the seed start? Whether the seed came first or the tree came first, nobody knows. Chicken and
egg story.
Isn't it? Can you say, you can.
I have a slight question here. Can I? So doesn't this go slightly against the principle of evolution? Because evolution states that we evolved from fish and then all these things. So how can we say that we existed 20,000-30,000 years ago when humans didn't exist, isn't it? That time it was completely different.
See, the theory of evolution of this Charles Darwin, according to me, is a very incomplete theory. It has never ever been completely studied, rather. Because he has taken a linear view of the creation, not a cyclical view of creation. In a cycle, where can you say it's a starting point? When you draw a circle, can you point out that this is the starting point of a circle? You cannot, right? You may take one small arc in that circle. And then say that, okay, this is the starting point of this arc and this is the ending point of this arc. But that doesn't represent the whole, cycle rather, or circle. It doesn't represent. So this Western theory of, this theory of evolution is a very half-baked theory. They have not gone beyond that. They have just used certain, observations and then come to certain conclusions. But they have not gone behind that and see what existed, what could have existed behind that. Even though from our personal experience on a day-to-day basis, we see this entire cosmos as cyclical only, isn't it?
Yeah.
Everything in this cosmos moves in cycle. From the seed comes the tree, from the tree comes the seed. Similarly, the sun may be at one place now, part of the Milky Way, but cosmologists know Milky Way is also going round in a big cycle. Everything is going in a cycle. Planets are going around in a cycle. They come back to the same point again and again. So this is the nature. If we observe the whole nature, the totality, everything is cyclical. Why can't then creation not be cyclical? How can creation be linear? That will be totally against the way the whole nature is. We must think about these things. We don't need to study Vedanta for that. Now one may ask the question, okay, now we have got this Dashavataram. We start, this start from here and all. Now Dashavataram is from where we get from Puranas. When you are trying to explain something to somebody, you start like that only. But has anybody asked, was there only one Dashavataram or one Dashavataram every cycle? Because every cycle will have to go through those stages of evolution. Right? What? From, first water will have to be there, which is what we call pralayam, full water. From that, some form of living forms like single cellular forms, multicellular forms will have to evolve. Then from there, waterborne animals and all. This will have to happen in every cycle of creation. This way you can call it linear. But at the end of it, everything goes back into unmanifest. The same thing happens next time. So what do you call creation? There is nothing called evolution. Evolution is a misnomer. Evolution, you can call this part of it as a evolution. That this Chatur Yuga, when it begins, this is the evolution of the Chatur Yuga. But you cannot say that is evolution of a creation.
It's a small arc in the circle.
It's a small arc, and this
the
creation
circle.
also. You see, when we do the sankalpa, those of you who do some pujas and all that sankalpa, what we say, if you just recall, Adhya Brahmanaha Dvitiya Parardhe.
Prapte.
We are referring to the current time. When I am doing this puja, what is the time definition of this puja? Which is the point I am doing this puja? It starts from Adhya Brahmanaha. Adhya Brahmanaha refers to Brahmaji. Dvitiya Parardhe means the second half of the day of Brahmaji. That is what the current we are now in. We are now in the second half of Brahmaji's one day. Shweta Varaha Kalpe. So that second half is divided into kalpas. So we are in a kalpa called Shweta Varaha Kalpa, which is the 27th kalpa. Right? If you read this scripture, you will know all the list of all the kalpas. Not only the kalpas of Shweta Varaha, future kalpas also is there. It is easy for them to write because they know the rishis who wrote these Vedas and all, they have seen this entire creation before their eyes. One round of creation. So they can, capture all these time elements. Shweta Varaha Kalpe. Then after Kalpa is Manvantara. Vaivaswata Manvantare. Third one. Then Tama is there. Ashtavinshati Dame. Kali Yuge. Pratame Padhe. First part of Kali Yuga. Pratame Pade Jambu Dvipe Bharatapate Bharadakande Mero Dakshine Parshve Sagapte Asmin Vartamane Vyavahari Shashti Samvatsarana Madhye. We then say Sharvari Ram Samvatsare, Uttarayane, Dakshinayane, all that. So from Brahmaji's half day, second half day, we are coming to the right this moment when we say the Sankalpa. Now, if we understand that Sankalpa, everything is all time elements only. Second half of the day, Kalpa, Manvantara, Tama, all these are referring to different time elements. And once the whole, then the one day of Brahmaji is over, one cycle is over. Next day again will start. It will be the next cycle. I don't know how many millions of years it will take, rather, right? Because one Chatur Yuga itself is 43,20,000 years. Is the calculation. It is only 1 4 cycle. Then there are, I think, 70 Chatur Yugas in one Manvantara or something. I don't even know the full calculation. I can find out for you and tell you if you are curious. But you can imagine how many millions of years or billions of years we are talking about here when the whole process has been going. So we have to understand it in its perspective. It's a mind-boggling kind of a time frame.
Thank you. Yeah, it's getting your mind around this whole concept.
Yeah.
Of,
First of all,
that's
that is
so
very
difficult. That's
and
very difficult.
there are enough material for us to get our mind around that concept. And then in that we are a speck. Just imagine in time-wise what we are. And then we have this big ego. Oh, I am very great. I am this, I am that. If you understand that, it's another method by which your ego is neutralized. You have to understand that. It's fantastic.
Just one more question. You said about Mana and Buddhi initially. You covered Mana and Buddhi. Buddhi is the one that sort of takes the decision. Is Buddhi influenced by past karmas and past life, or is it? How does Buddhi develop these faculties? Is it from past karmas?
It is coming, so Buddhi is part of Sukshma Sharira.
Yeah.
So it comes
It's
from
all
one
part
body to another body to another body. It continues to change.
So a child doesn't have. No, will a child have this power of discrimination?
No, because again, see, Buddhi means what? From a child, it's a growth, right? The child will be born with a Buddhi, with a potential for a certain type of growth of that Buddhi as the child grows, rather. It is not that the full capacity of the Buddhi will be there in the child, because just like, a seed converting into a plant becoming a tree, then flowering and then giving fruits. The process has to be followed, you know. So the child will have the potential buddhi, what it will develop in the future. It will have that potential.
The Dharana Sharira.
It may not exhibit it at that in the child as when it is a child. Not only buddhi, even its own habits, many of our habits, what we call samskaras, we bring it forward from a previous birth. And that will get manifest in this birth over a period of time. So a person, we have preferences, we like certain things, we don't like certain things. All these things are all coming from the previous samskaras only. It's a very complicated, this law of karma, you know, it's a very complicated thing, you know. We can understand it in separate, what you can call compartments. But when you put everything together, it becomes really mind-boggling. Because the question is, suppose everything is determined our past karmas, then what about this? Is everything is driven by past only? Answer
That
is
was
no.
my question.
Answer is no. Because you have a limited capacity to change the past, which is God has given you as free will. You can train yourself to be different. You can change what impels you. See, the problem in Mahabharata, Duryodhana says, this is called Duryodhana syndrome, I call it. Duryodhana says, I know what is right, but I am unable to follow that because something within me is pushing me to the wrong direction. And he says, I know what is wrong, but I am unable to avoid doing that because something within me is pushing me towards that direction. Now, this is the fatalistic Duryodhana, which is presented in Mahabharata. Whereas, if you have something within you which is impelling you to go in a particular direction, then you have a free will to control. That is why Shama, Dhamma and all we saw becomes very important. If you let yourself to be driven by all this past, then you are a slave to all this, your past. But you have a ability to correct the past and change it in this life. It is possible only in the human life. You cannot make this change in any other species life. Only human life you can do it. So that is why Shastra is pleading and crying. Don't go by this law of karma and all is very well there. But that is not fatalistic. That is not deterministic. You can completely destroy the karmas, your karmas, by coming to Vedanta. When Sukshma Sharira is gone, Sthula Sharira is gone, Karana Sharira going means what? All your karmas, which are all saved there for you to experience, they are gone. No karma balance, no rebirth. And that is what Upanishad after Upanishad, that is what they are saying. So we have an ability to change many things. But we must have the will to do that. And that free will has been given as an instrument. How many of us use that free will? It's a question. But it is not, we don't need to be at all a slave to our past karmas at all. We can completely change our entire nature in this life itself. And mind you, another important aspect, the change has to be done by oneself. Other people cannot change us at all. You cannot change others, others cannot change you. If you want to change, you have to change it yourself. You have to work towards it. Nothing will come easy. You have to do a lot of efforts, but it is possible. Because even Mahatmas, like for example, Puja Swamiji or Swami Chinmayananda, all these people, they were also born with all their past only. But then they have worked towards it, changed it, and they become Mahatmas in this life, one life. They found out the secret, what is there in the Shastra. So they were able to do it. That secret is there for all of us to see. The thing is, we have to take it and do it. That's all.
Swamiji,
Yeah.
Guruji,
Yeah.
Could I ask a question about moksha?
Yes, please.
If the Karana Sharira is roasted and it does not seed again, does that mean then it is beyond creation?
Moksha, that is what is moksha.
So there is something beyond creation then, beyond the cycles of the
It is not
yugas.
beyond creation. You see, when we see the next section, which is the samashti vichar, what is the creation about, right? Then later on we will see the identity of the individuality and the identity of the totality is one and the same. So when we are talking about moksha, we talk about that, understanding that oneness, that identity, that everything, that is what is non-dual. So there is no duality, that individual is different and the totality is different. That understanding, when we say there is nothing different, I am the same as the totality, once you get that understanding and then start, interacting with the totality with that understanding. Because just merely at the intellectual level, we have the knowledge, oh, I am the same as totality, is not going to help. It has to be reflected in your behavior. It has to be reflected. Really, you should believe in that and you must abide in that. Then that is what is moksha, liberation.
And then how can we, second question then is, how can we understand our real nature and abide in that real nature, that totality, through our current instruments, which are so inefficient?
Our instruments cannot teach us that. The only way to learn that we can use our instruments to learn and abide. But instruments themselves will not teach us. Only Shastra is the source of knowledge. We have to follow what all Shastras say. We have to study the Shastras, the Upanishads, and you have to even study Brahma Sutra, because there are two aspects to it. One is you learn all these things from the scriptures, but then you have a lot of doubts relating to that knowledge, which you can clarify that by reading other texts and all that, or from a guru. But there is one aspect which is our intellect, with the way our buddhi is, it will not accept many of these things because it doesn't appear logical to the mind, to the intellect. So there will be a resistance for that. So for that, you have to study like Brahma Sutra and all that, which is a Nyaya Prasthana, what we call, which is totally reasoning. That is written by Veda Vyasa in Sutra form, and Adi Shankara has done a brilliant commentary on that. And he brings in all logical arguments that you can think of, and then establishes that this non-duality is the only reality which the Shastras talk about. And he explains it in Brahma Sutra with a logical reasoning. And he also points out that all other philosophies, what are their weaknesses, where they fail logically, he points out that also. So, but Brahma Sutra is like a PhD level kind of a thing. You have to first do Upanishad, Bhagavad Gita, and all these kind of thing. We are just in Tattva Bodha, which is upper KG or lower KG. But you have to study that. It's a very wonderful thing. And Brahma Sutra, again, one sutra, there are 555 sutras. One sutra study itself, proper study with commentary, sub-commentary and all that, it will take at least 2 months, 3 months, one sutra. So you can imagine how much, studies, how much material is there.
Need a few lifetimes.
Huh?
Need a few lifetimes to learn it.
Yeah, exactly. So that is why, first of all, you must have been born with certain equipment. So that is why, I often say, even if you don't get moksha in this life, if you have been following this spiritual path and you have been studying in this life, this knowledge which is there, which is collected and stored in your Sukshma Sharira will be carried forward to the next birth. And what you will be adding to that will be what you gain in the next birth. So this moksha need not happen in one birth. It can, from birth to birth, you go on. And that is how probably, many of the Mahatmas we see today, including, this was stated in so many words by Ramana Maharshi himself, right? So we have to continue the process. When we will get the PhD level and moksha and all that, we don't need to worry about it. As long as we are sure we are in the spiritual path, we are doing everything in this life which is to be done, and we don't know what our past is. Maybe it is the past which has brought us at least to this stage for us to use our free will to pursue it rather. So if that happens, Krishna says, when Arjuna asks the same question, at the end of this, my life, suppose everything, I die. Does it mean that all that sadhanas which I have done, all that I have gained, they will be lost? Krishna says, no. You will be born in a family, you will be born in a circumstance where you can pursue from where you have left off. So that assurance Krishna is giving in Bhagavad Gita. So that assurance is for us also. We can also take that assurance. Not worry about the final goal. Keep the final goal. This is my final goal, is moksha. Whether I am going to get it in, I will try to get it in this birth. I will do everything to get it in this birth. But suppose it doesn't happen, then I will continue in the next birth. Some stage I will get out of it. Isn't it? So it's like some students, they keep appearing in some subjects, they fail, and then they will not leave till they pass. They appear. Chartered accountants in India, they do that again and again. But eventually they pass.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
that. Okay.
Thank
you. Good. Any more questions? Or we can.
Thank you, Guruji.
Thank you, Guruji. Thank you.
Thank you, Guruji.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Everybody.